All right, welcome everybody. We have a really exciting webinar today. My name is Sean McKay with American IRA, and today we are discussing building a six-figure real estate wholesaling business with Nasar the DORU El-arabi. Nasar, thanks so much for joining us, buddy.
No problem, man. I appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely. This is a fairly new format for us at American IRA these days. We've realized that everyone's pretty sick of hearing me talk about self-directed concepts and not bringing in experts on particular subject matters. So, as I said, this is a phenomenal opportunity. I've known Nasar for probably 7 or 8 years now. We met way back in the day at the local RIA meeting, and we were essentially the only two 20-somethings that were in the room, and so we kind of naturally gravitated towards each other. And I'm very lucky to consider Nasar a good personal friend, and it's been amazing to just see his business explode over the last few years. So I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of content that he's going to be able to share with us today about how to create these sources of income. So a few housekeeping notes. So the first thing is that we do have handouts as an attachment. So certainly feel free to pull those up for Nasar's part of the presentation. So the general format will be that we will discuss self-directed retirement accounts, just kind of a brief overview initially, and then we'll turn it over to the main event, Nasar, so that he can educate us on these wholesaling concepts. And certainly there is some continuity there between these retirement accounts and building wealth in a tax-efficient manner and actually using our retirement accounts to actually wholesale. So Nasar will hit it from a lot of different angles. And as I said, he's really an expert on this. So we're very lucky to have somebody that can give us that sort of value. Also, we do have a questions box. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, certainly feel free to type those in. I can't promise that we're going to see it in real time, but we can certainly at the very least answer those at the end of the presentation. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Now, as I said, initially we're going to discuss the concept of self-directed IRAs and 401ks. And certainly for many of us, we're aware of kind of the traditional or the typical route for retirement accounts. And largely that includes stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. And it's not that there's anything inherently wrong with those investments. I think the challenge for many of us is that we really don't understand those sorts of investments. We all live somewhere, whether it's in an apartment, a single family house, whatever the case may be, we all have an inherent understanding of real estate, and thus over the years many people have become millionaires because of their ability to invest in real estate because they understand that. The problem for many of us with stocks and mutual funds is that we just kind of throw the money into that with our IRAs and 401ks without necessarily having a great understanding of that. And as we're looking in late 2018, it's been a very volatile stock market, and some people are starting to panic. And the reality is as I said, we're investing in something that we're not really familiar with and we don't inherently understand. So these can be great tools, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. But ultimately, if you're someone like Nasar, for example, who really understands real estate and concepts in real estate, as you'll see, he's been able to grow a really impressive business that can support him, and it allows him to be an entrepreneur and to be able to do a lot of fun and exciting things. So ultimately, the premise with self-directed retirement accounts is that we are investing in what we understand. So when we talk about a self-directed account, I want to make sure we understand two concepts. The first is that, as the name indicates, the self-directed account is one in which you as the account holder are making decisions for your portfolio. So this is different than an advisor telling you which sort of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds to pick. You are the captain of the ship, as I like to say, and so you are the one that is deciding ultimately if you're going to do the wholesale deal, buy a rental property, whatever it may be, with your IRA or 401k. Now, when we talk about a truly self-directed retirement account, ultimately, clients can still purchase stocks, bonds, and mutual funds with us. However, to be quite frank, the real juice of our service is what are considered alternative assets. And so that's the IRAs and 401ks actually owning real estate or being lenders or investing in privately held companies or precious metals such as physical gold and silver. Our retirement accounts can actually directly own these assets. Now, at American IRA, we're considered the third-party administrator for your retirement account. So regardless of who you're with, whether it's Schwab, Vanguard, Wells Fargo, any financial services provider, they are the third-party administrator for your retirement account. And we are what's considered a fully integrated company, meaning that New Vision Trust Company is our custodian, and we have the same principal and owner for American IRA as New Vision Trust Company. And really what that does is that gives us a huge edge in the self-directed arena because we're not reliant on a third-party custodian for us to be able to stay in business. So our owner, Jim Hitt, has been, frankly, a visionary in creating this company and growing this company, and lastly, with creating that in-house custodian as well. So that's given us a huge edge, as I said, in the self-directed space. Now, really, I'm not going to spend, frankly, a lot of time talking about why I believe that we're a superior choice for people that are looking to self-direct their retirement accounts. I want to make sure we have a lot of time for Nasar here today. But ultimately, if you can keep in mind, and I'm happy to have discussions with you after the webinar, but our fees are very different than what you find from other self-directed providers. Typically, most self-directed providers are charging you a larger annual fee each year as you're doing a great job of growing your retirement account. And our premise is, frankly, that's not fair because we're not advising you as to what investments you should be making, again, because these are self-directed retirement accounts. So we have a low set annual fee, and the beauty of that annual fee is it actually doesn't even kick in until you make your first IRA investment with us. So it's essentially a cash account until you make that investment. And as I'll discuss at the end of the webinar, Nasar's been so great in helping us to promote this that we're actually waiving what is an initial setup fee that typically we charge clients to open an account with us. And so Nasar's going to bring a lot of knowledge and educational benefit, and we're going to make the fees as palatable as humanly possible for those of you that are looking to get started with your self-directed career. And also, in the self-directed space, it's also very rare that you're working with a firm whose employees are also investors themselves. As I said, Nasar's career has exploded. Frankly, I haven't done nearly as well with my investments. I'm more of a plodder with just simply buying rental properties each year, but we are investors ourselves, and so we understand the language, and we are out there investing. And so I think it's always beneficial when you have service providers that are also fellow, in this case, real estate investors. And ultimately, we are the local bank. For those of you that are in the Southeast, we're really one of the only providers of self-directed retirement accounts. Most of the competition is in the Midwest and on the West Coast of the United States. So it's kind of unique to have someone in your region. Now, when we talk about a self-directed account, I think sometimes there's a bit of confusion that you're somehow creating a totally different retirement account than you would have with other providers. And so if you currently have a rollover or a traditional IRA with, again, a Vanguard or a Bank of America, you're still going to have that same traditional IRA with us. Self-directed is really almost a marketing term as it pertains to the specific retirement account itself. You're still going to have the Roth or the traditional or the SEP IRAs. The account doesn't change, and your ability to make contributions and take distributions, that does not change either. Really, the only thing that's changing with these self-directed accounts is just your ability to invest in things beyond just simply stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. So as I said, all the IRAs stay in place. The only time your account will typically change forms when you open an account with us is if you have an old 401k or an old thrift savings plan or a 403b, something that your employer had actually set up for you. In that case, that will roll over typically to another pre-tax account, which is usually a traditional IRA. And so as you can see from this list, all of these accounts can in fact be self-directed. Spousal accounts, inherited retirement accounts, health savings accounts, etc. So really the full gamut of tax-deferred retirement account vehicles. I also want to note that as we look at these concepts, this is not an all or nothing proposition. So if you have a $50,000 Roth IRA with Vanguard and you just simply want to move, say, $20,000 to make a loan to an individual, something of that nature, you don't have to move your entire retirement account to us. You can just simply move the portion of monies you need so that you can make that appropriate investment with us. Now, as you look at the investment options for retirement accounts, it's really pretty odd, but actually the way the IRS code is written is it tells us what we cannot invest in with our IRAs and 401ks. And it's basically collectibles and life insurance policies. It doesn't actually say anywhere in the IRS code you can purchase stocks, you can buy mutual funds, you can wholesale a property or buy a rental. It just simply tells us what we cannot do. So obviously Nasar is going to focus on the wholesaling concept today. So you're not typically owning the real estate, you're controlling it through the contracts, which he'll explain to us. But as far as real estate goes, any type of physical real estate can be acquired with your retirement account, whether it's raw land, condos, townhouses, single-family houses, commercial buildings, apartment complexes, industrial buildings, big retail shopping centers. These can all be owned by your retirement account. Now, many times for larger deals, what we see is that clients will essentially partner with other groups, and we'll dig into that on the next slide. But there's LLCs and trusts that can be created where retirement accounts can participate in those sorts of legal structures. Also, you may have heard about the terms hard money lending or private lending. That can also be done by your retirement account as well. Depending upon the state you live in, that's either a mortgage or a deed of trust. But essentially, your retirement account can be the bank for other investors. And tax liens or tax certificates, tax deeds, again, depending upon the state that you live in, that is a strategy that we're seeing more and more of our clients start to investigate using their retirement accounts to purchase a tax certificate, for example. So as you can see, there's a number of opportunities here, but this is by no means a complete list of all the things that our clients are doing. Again, as long as you're not purchasing collectibles and life insurance policies, largely the deals can be done with your retirement accounts. So as we look at strategies, ultimately what I say to people is as long as it is an investment that you're making with your retirement account, typically it can be executed with that IRA or 401k. So rental properties, the fix and flip deals, certainly your IRA can own those types of assets. As I mentioned, wholesaling, and in my mind, kind of a close cousin with having an option on a property, is something that Nasar is going to spend time and make sure that we're educated on today. But joint ventures is essentially the retirement account partnering with either other retirement accounts or individuals or companies and essentially just owning a portion of a deal. Excuse me. And private lending is just, again, the retirement account being the bank and being the lender, usually for other investors so that they can buy rental properties or they can do a fix and flip deal, or maybe it's somebody who's going to do a new build. The retirement account can be a lender and fund that new build deal. Now, something that's not as widely discussed is actually the ability for your retirement account to purchase a property that will, in the long run, be a retirement home for you and for your family. While the IRA or 401k owns the property, you cannot get any personal use from it. However, you might buy a condo on the beach, you might buy a house in the mountains, whatever the case may be. And so your retirement account can purchase that property. It can receive income. Let's say it's a short-term rental, a vacation condo or vacation home that is rented out. and that can create income for your retirement account. And then in your retirement years, you can actually take that property as a distribution. So it goes from being owned by the retirement account to being owned by you personally. Now, there's certainly some nuance and mechanics to doing that in a tax efficient manner, but just for the purposes of this discussion, just understand that that can, in fact, actually be accomplished. Now, as Nasser is talking about these wholesaling concepts today about making chunks of money by controlling these properties with contracts, I want us to keep in mind that there are essentially three general strategies that we see clients employing. Sometimes it's for wholesale deals, sometimes it's for buying rental properties or fix and flips, or building, doing a new build type of construction deal. Certainly the most typical structure we see is that clients will use their retirement account and simply pay cash for a property, whether it's a land, condo, single family house, whatever the case may be. The second opportunity is for the retirement account to do that joint venture concept we talked about, where it just simply owns a portion of the property or the wholesale deal, and then either another retirement account or an individual or a company also owns a portion of that deal as well. And then the third concept, which won't be as applicable for a wholesale deal because usually there's very minimal money for the wholesaler or their retirement account to have into the deal, is for the retirement account to actually borrow money itself. So it's not you as the account holder borrowing money, it's actually your retirement account that's borrowing money so that it can many times buy a rental property and use a mortgage or a deed of trust, again, depending upon the state that you live in. So these don't always have to be cash deals, and you certainly do not have to have really large retirement accounts to get involved with these real estate strategies with your self-directed account. So I'm going to turn it over to Nasser. Again, Nasser, the DORU El-Arabi, he's going to talk to us about wholesaling. So are you there, Nas?
I'm here, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, buddy. It's your turn.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. And I want to thank the people of the American IRA for inviting me and having me on to give out this knowledge and sponsoring this webinar. For all those who were not here at the beginning of the call, if you look at the GoToWebinar control panel, you will see something called handouts. Those handouts are a contract and a purchase sale agreement and an assignment of contract, which we'll be talking about on this webinar, which is Wholesaling 101. This is the basics of wholesaling, which is basically me, how I buy properties, flip properties with no money and no credit.
All right, so let me turn that over to you. Sorry about that.
No problem, no problem.
All right, let me know if that works for you.
It definitely doesn't work.
All right, so do me a favor and actually click on the screen and then try to move it with your mouse. Okay, great.
There you go. Now it worked. My man Sean, bro. That's that full education, bro. I appreciate that, man. All right, man. I'm Nasar El-arabi, man. For those who don't know, first name pronounced Nasar El-arabi. Like Sean said, we met 2010. So we've known each other about 8 years now, and like Sean said, at that time, man, we were like the youngest and the only 20-somethings in the room. Now you go there, it's a bunch of 20-somethings, which is good, which is great actually. You know, more people are waking up to entrepreneurship. But yeah, me and Sean known each other for about 8 years. Great guy, American IRA. I do have my retirement account with him. I have a 401k solo product, which I actually buy real estate in. One of the reasons I like working with Sean, because I can call and get questions asked from his team. I can ask questions from his team. I don't have to pay a monthly fee. Like some retirement accounts make you pay a monthly fee to ask questions. I don't have to worry about that with using American IRA. But anyway, all right, I've been involved in real estate for 11 years. 35 now, did my first flip, 24 back in New Jersey. We ended up losing about $7,000 a piece, me and my partner. So basically, we got inspired by one of those, you know, well, at that time, it was a bunch of flip those house shows. We got inspired, man. So we figured all we had to do was buy an ugly house, yell at a bunch of contractors, and we make a big check at the end. it didn't work out. It didn't work like that at all. We ended up losing money. So after that, moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I'm at now. Been here for 10 years now. Been a full-time investor for 2012. My last job I got fired from September 2012, making about 38 grand. That was my highest paying job I ever had. Never been paid over $38,000 a job. Last year, my business grossed about 1.3. We did 1.3 in my business last year. For those who don't know, I have over 100 plus YouTube videos. Real estate DORU. Real estate DORU. First name real estate, last name DORU, DORU. I call myself the DORU because I actually do this business. All right, wasn't the guru. So, you Google my name, the stuff will come up on YouTube as well. On Google, you see a bunch of podcasts and stuff. I'm not going to get too much into that because I want to get you guys up out of here, get you this knowledge and get you up out of here and start making a bunch of money as well. I wrote a book, Flip Houses Like Burgers, which is available on Amazon. Flip Houses Like Burgers is available on Amazon. If you're looking at that picture, that was me taking my father to 2014 Super Bowl in New Jersey, but it was in New Jersey that year. I took him to the Super Bowl. I was able to do that through this business, particularly through a niche called Wholesale. All right. What is real estate wholesaling? Okay. Real estate wholesaling is the act of finding deep discount real estate, contracting the property, and reselling that contract to the end buyer. That's basically what it is. Now, it seems simple, but it's not easy. I'm going to get more in detail so that you can have a better understanding. All right, so just an overview of actually what it is. You find a discount property for $50,000. You know it's worth $100,000. Let's say you think it needs about $15,000. You contract the property for $45,000. You call up Sean, who's the host of this webinar. Say, hey, Sean, I got this property in 123 Main Street. I'm looking to get $55,000. Sean said, well, let me check it out. And Sean looks at it and says, yeah, I'll give you $55,000 for it. So on the closing day, Sean will then wire in $50,000 and closing costs, and you yourself, you would pick up a check for $10,000 at closing. Now, some people ask, hey, why is this done? Why would he do that? Why would he buy his own deal? Because Sean had things to do with it. Sean focused his time on just the actual real estate, which as he doesn't have time to focus on deals, he just needs to get in front of the deals and buy it. So this was a good deal to Sean because the property is worth $100,000. Sean puts in $15,000, and now he's in that $70,000. Normally, investors want to be in 70% of the ARV. When I say ARV, the after repair value, in this case was $100,000 because that's what's built after it fixed up. So Sean will sell it, rehab it, and make the profit, and everyone's happy. So everyone's very Mr. Seller got the money they wanted for the property because they couldn't list for the realtor because the property was just too beat up. Nobody could qualify for a loan. Some realtors said you have to do the work before I listed, etc. And so we did a good service by buying that property, contracting that property for they getting $45,000. So everybody's happy. Someone gets the property, you get a check for $10,000. Everyone moves on with their life. Everybody's happy. All right, how to find motivated sellers, okay? So what we focus on as wholesalers is we want to find motivated sellers. We're not looking for properties on sale, we're looking for properties for sale, okay? We're not looking for properties on sale, we're not looking for properties for sale, we're looking for properties on sale. So, therefore, what you need to do is we need to focus on finding motivated sellers. How do you find motivated sellers? All right, first thing first, what I recommend you doing is I strongly recommend you getting a Google Voice number. It's free if you have a Gmail account. A Google Voice number is a free phone number that Google gives you. You kind of want to get it for the area code. You want to get it for the area you're focused at because you want to get local. So, for example, Me, I run a seven-figure business. I still have a Google Voice number. You know, so it doesn't matter. You can use the Google Voice number no matter what level you're at. All right, so that Google Voice number I put on the marketing. So the marketing goes out. All right, marketing goes out. The seller calls come in. The particular marketing I use is direct mail, and then the seller calls come in. And when the seller calls come in, now mind you, again, I use direct mail. But when the seller calls come in, I ask the question. I don't answer the phone. I do have someone working for me, and I have another virtual assistant that fills those calls to screen so that we're just talking to motivated sellers. So he asks opening the questions. Tell me a little bit about the house. How many beds, how many baths, how old is the roof, etc. Meanwhile, while you're asking this question, you can go on Zillow.com, Redfin, etc. Zillow.com, Redfin, these are like free comp sites. When I say comp sites, comp is short term for comparables because you want to see what things are actually selling for in that neighborhood. Not you don't want to pay attention to the estimate. You want to pay attention to the actual sold. You want to look at sold, okay? All right. So that's what you pay attention to is the actual sold. So and you can get those on sites like Zillow or Redfin. Now, when I'm talking to these people, ideally, I like to make a soft offer over the phone using our typical formula of 70% of after repair value, and that is minus repairs, and that is minus repairs minus your wholesale fee. Okay, so if a property is worth $100,000, ideally my soft offer will probably be between 40 and 50. If I get them say, hey, Mr. Seller, to be honest with you, man, I'm thinking I'll probably be between 40 and 50. You know I didn't. I want to be like 45 grand. Now, when you tell a seller that, they might say, oh, hell, no way I'm taking it. No, I want it more like 30. Those are not people you want to spend a lot of time with. You say, you know what, Mr. Seller, I might not be your best option. You might need to talk to a realtor, and if that doesn't work out without you, I'll follow up with you in a few minutes. When you follow up with them, now you get the seller and say, hey, we'll be between 40 and 50. Yeah, that'll work. That's what I was at too. Set the appointment, you go out there. Now, if I'm talking to a seller and they say certain keywords, I'm saying I don't make a soft offer, I just make an appointment. Certain keywords. When I say certain keywords, I mean, man, I'm tired of this house, I just had to appointment. Man, we get married to this house, and we keep the taxes, I already pay taxes, etc. When I hear that, I just go make an appointment. All right. So let's say everything goes right and you make an appointment, right? Okay, everything goes right, you make an appointment, talk to this, you meet the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, my name is Nasar, this is my card. I'm just going to walk through the house, take pictures, and hopefully I can have an offer for you. All right, and then I want to build a rapport. Hey, okay, all right. Did you see the Panthers game? I see you have a Panthers bumper sticker. Yeah, I see it. Oh man, the Panthers defense is really stuck. I thought we were going to the Super Bowl, but they just totally didn't do it. But so building a rapport. So with that being said, now explain your service. Talk to someone, build a rapport, make them feel comfortable. I don't say I'm a wholesaler. I say I'm the buyer of the property. Right? I'm the buyer. I don't want to confuse you. Too much details confuse you. Okay? All right? So that I don't confuse. I'm the buyer of the property, right? If you see something wrong in the house, what I do, I stare at it, touch it, rub it, smack it, etc. I just want to stare at it. I don't beat the house up. I'm not one of those guys that say, oh my God, oh, I don't do that. I don't want to mess up the other people. I want to tell you to trust me. I want them to know. All right? All right. So before going to the house, you should have an idea. If property assessment repairs, don't worry about it. That's not important. All right? That's not important. Assessment repairs are not important. You just want to focus on getting the house low enough to resell it to make a profit. At the end of the appointment, what I do is I make the offer for this house. Let's say the house was 100,000, and the house needs work. Offer 42,000. They say, "Oh man, I can't do 42. I was looking more around 45." Right? So you say, "Okay, all right, I can do the 45. I'll make it work." You guys sign the contract. Now, tell the seller, "Hey, since the house is vacant, can I do a lockbox something? So my contractors and money partners can get in the house and approve the transaction." Okay? So that my contractors and money partners can get in the house. Right? You don't say I'm a wholesaler, you say I'm a buyer, but I need to get my contractors, money partners in the house. I tell them that up front. There's no miscommunications. I need to get in, or they're not set. I got to get back in. Now, if the house is vacant, the house, someone's living at the house, and of course you have to set up an appointment. If they say, "Well, no, I'd rather be here," what I do is I set up an appointment. I get all my buyers there at one time to walk through the house. After that, you're ready to rock and roll. All right. Now, that concludes the seller's part. But I just want to say, for all those who are saying, "Hey, where do I buy a list from so that I can look for sellers?" I would like you to go to flipthisrealestatelyst.com, flipthisrealestatelyst.com. Now, if you tell them you know me, like, "Hey, I know Nasar or the Real Estate DORU," what he'll do is he'll give you 1,000 names for $60. Okay, 1,000 names for $60 plus a free cash buyers list for an absentee only list. So he'll take care of you over there. All right, but that website is flipthisrealestatelyst.com. All right, so let's say you got the seller. You got the seller. Now what you got to do is you got to look for a buyer. All right, so the end buyer, keep this in mind. The end buyer wants to be 70% of ARV, which is 70,000 in this case because the property is worth $100,000. So what you do is you price the house at $55,000 because it needs 15,000 worth of work. I don't tell my buyers to pay. Okay, as experience out there, I don't tell them to pay because whatever I tell them is going to be wrong. If I say the house, if the house is worth $100,000, and I'm saying the house is, I'm selling the house for $10,000, and I tell them, "Hey, the house needs about $50,000 in work," they would beat me up on, "Oh no, oh my God, this house needs $80,000." Somebody's gonna say, "Well, it needs 30." Somebody's gonna say it needs 90. It's just I do not give them the amount of repair because you are usually wrong 90% of the time. They will focus on it. Okay? So just so that we don't got to have that conversation, I just send out the deal based off the numbers and I tell them to, they go out there and do all that. All right? Now, finding the buyer, right? You want to go to meetup.com, look for meetups in your zip code. You want to look for meetups in your zip code, all right? You go to meetup.com, type in your zip code. You put auctions in your city, ideally city or property. So you go to the auctions in your city. In your city would be at the county courthouse, all right? They're going to be at the county courthouse. You can just go down there and say, "Hey, what are the foreclosure auctions?" And those guys bidding are real cash buyers and not tire kickers. Okay? You go to your local RIA. When I say RIA, that's Real Estate Investment Association. You go to your local RIAs and you can find cash buyers there. Facebook Marketplace, you post a house there, you can find cash buyers there. If you know a realtor, ask for the cash sales in the zip code. Then you can mail the buyers. So what I do is, even on my first deal and in my first few years, I would get a cash buyers list, right, from a realtor. Say, "Hey, can you send me the cash transaction in the zip code at this around this price point?" Because if I got $100,000 house, I don't really want to talk to the guy that's rehabbing $500,000 houses, right? He focused on that. So I want to do in that price point. So what I'll do is I'll look up on the tax return, see who bought that house, and then I will mail them a flyer of the deal. And believe it or not, that's effective. And they're real cash buyers. All right. let's say you find 5 people interested, you give them the lockbox code. If you don't feel comfortable giving them the lockbox code, just show everybody at once, okay? If you don't feel comfortable giving them the lockbox code, show them everybody at once. If I got a house vacant, I just say, hey, look, could you go out there, look at the house, let me know what's your best number, first come, first serve, all right? Someone offers you $55,000, which is really common right now to get full price offers on wholesale deals. So if someone offers you $55,000, which is your full price, you accept. You tell a buyer there might be somewhere between a $1,000 and $3,000 non-refundable fee. It is only refundable if title is bad, and the check is written to the title company or attorney. Okay. If you're in North Carolina, we're an attorney state. We don't use title companies here. So we only use attorney. Depending on your state, you might use title company. Okay, depending on your state. So that's something you have to find out. But let me explain that to you. When you sell a deal to a buyer, you always want to get some type of deposit down. The reason is because when you don't, you'll find out they have no problem with not closing, not picking up their phone, not showing up. All right? So you always want to get some type of deposit. Now, if I'm selling Sean a deal, which is the host of this webinar, me and him does stuff. If I won't get on his back about putting up a deposit because his word is good. He says he's going to close on something, he closes on it. But with some buyers, especially the first few times dealing with them, you might really want to make sure they put up that deposit because people would not pick up the phone and not show up when it's time to quote. All right, he agreed to that. You send him over the assignment of your contract. You may ask to see the original contract as well, which is perfectly normal. You just want to see what he's agreeing to. For those, if you look at this webinar on the GoToWebinar control panel, we have the assignment of contract blank and the purchase sale agreement if you want to look to see exactly the paperwork I use in my business. All right, 1 second. All right, so now at this point, you should have the contract, the assignment of contract, and the non-refundable earnest money deposit, okay? And then what you would do, you would drop that off, the complete file, to the title company or the attorney. They will start title search. You basically play middleman of asking if the attorney says, hey, I need the seller to fill this out. You get that document, send it in. If he needs information from the buyer, you get that. You arrange everything. And sometimes title issues do occur. When I say title issues, I mean like the seller may have a hospital bill that needs to be paid before they sell their house. There might be an Iras lien. There might be judgments. You know, now 80% of the time, if one of these things happen, they can be cleared up. Very rarely, it's a issue, it's a judgment or a lien that can't be cleaned up. So, for example, it's been times where I was going to buy a house for $100,000, but the guy had an IRS lien for $250,000, and the IRS is saying if you sell this house, we're not letting you walk away with no money, and so he won't sell. You know, if I was in that situation, to be honest with you, I probably would not sell my house either. So that's an issue that couldn't get resolved. Sometimes you have an heir, ex-husband or wife that won't sign because they have to sign off their interest as well. Those things do happen. But for time's sake, and to get you guys out of here, what I would like to do is, I would like for just to move forward, we will say that everything is right in this case, that title came back good and you guys can close. So title is good in this case. You tell the buyer and seller to be a closing at 10 a.m. or whatever opening they have, okay? So whatever opening that you schedule, you just send them both there and they sign their documents. All right? The buyer wires in $55,000 plus closing costs, seller gets $45,000. Attorney, title company calls you when your check of $10,000 ready for pickup. Then it's basically rinse and repeat. Now, some of you are saying, hey, if they're buyer and seller, yeah, you making 10 grand, what they say. And all right, I've been full time of 6 years. In my 6 years of being full time, I probably had three people I can remember two times where somebody said, "Hey, what's this assignment fee thing paid to your company? What is this?" And I said, "Oh yeah, so you know the house needs work, right? Well, that's my lender giving me the money up front to fix the house so that I can start the repairs once we close." Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. The house needs work, and we move forward. Okay. If the buyer, remember, you make the buyer put money in, but if I'm dealing with a buyer and they have a problem when we make money, I don't deal with them. Okay. I do not deal with them. They got a problem making me money, and I have done assignments up to like 20 grand. But if you got a problem, an issue with me making money on in my business, I just won't deal with you. All right. I remember I had a guy tell me, "Hey, look, all the deals you bring me, I'll pay you 2,000 a house, and you can bring me five. It's 10 grand a month for you." I said, "Yo, sir, I do not work on a fixed income. That won't work for me. I wish you the best." Okay. I don't waste these. I don't talk to them. I don't try to convince them. No, if you have an issue with me making money, I don't want to deal with you, because there's people that have an issue with you making money will never tell you what they're making and will never let you in their finances. So if I don't count your money, don't count my money. All right. So, but fortunately, in today's market, being that there's not a lot of inventory, people do not care what you make. They would pay it. Believe me, they would pay it. They're not really as petty as they was during the recession. They'll pay whatever it is it takes to get the deal, but they will not do the deal. Okay. 1 second. All right, Sean.
Awesome. That was great info, and I just want to echo what Nasser said at the end there about counting each other's money. There's been times where outside of my capacity with American IRA, I have purchased deals from Nasser, and we'll have a laugh about it at closing because we don't care. If it's a deal for me, if the number that I'm purchasing the property at is sufficient for typically my end use of it being a rental property, whether Nasser's making 2,000, 20,000, whatever it may be, is irrelevant, because as Nasser said, he's the entrepreneur, or certainly those of you listening, as you're the wholesalers, you're the entrepreneur that's putting these deals together. So certainly, as he said, we shouldn't be worrying about what other people are making as long as the numbers work for us. So really appreciate a lot of good info there, Nasser. Appreciate it.
No problem, man.
So as we're looking at these concepts with wholesaling or any of the other real estate strategies, excuse me, please keep in mind that before you go out there hunting for deals, you want to make sure that if you're going to be using your retirement account to make this transaction happen, that you want to open and fund your retirement account prior to any activity. Once your account is established and you've put some money into it, whether it's from an existing IRA or 401k, or you're just simply making a new contribution to your new retirement account, get that set up ahead of time. And then Nasser just spoke about going out there and identifying properties that you can put under contract, in this case through your retirement account. And ultimately, American IRA works with you to sign around the contracts so that your retirement account can actually wholesale that deal. So that if you make, say, $10,000 wholesaling a property, your retirement account actually receives the profit from that transaction as opposed to you personally doing that. So it's a way that you can build your retirement accounts. And the great thing to me about this wholesaling concept with the retirement accounts is you don't need a $50,000 or $100,000 retirement account to make that $10,000 or $20,000 wholesale or assignment fee. You're able to do that sometimes with just $1,000, $2,000, whatever the case may be, whatever that seller needs to feel comfortable to bind that contract. And then, as I said, ultimately that retirement account will benefit from that wholesale transaction. So again, this is the premise of these webinars. We're bringing on experts on subject matters, and Nasar is most certainly an expert on wholesaling and different creative real estate strategies. So I think that's a huge value add. I'll give everyone a moment. Again, just if you have any questions you'd like for anyone to elaborate on some part of the presentation, please type into the questions box and let us know what you have there. So again, I'm Sean McKay with American IRA. My email is sean@americanira.com. My Charlotte office number, where I am most days, is 704-633-8155. And also we have a sales team in the Asheville office, which is our headquarters. So certainly if you're unable to reach me, or if you are closer to that Asheville office and you're looking for that local branch to communicate with, we have a great team over there. And that Asheville number is 828-257-4949. And again, just to recap, typically there is a $50 setup fee to open a self-directed IRA. We greatly appreciate Nasar taking time to educate us on wholesaling, and so we are waiving the $50 setup fee. As certainly he's brought a lot of people to this webinar to learn about IRAs and to learn about wholesaling further. So the $50 setup fee is waived. Again, it is a free cash account, so if you end up establishing an IRA with us and you're just simply moving over an existing IRA or old 401k or making a contribution to a new account, we don't start charging you the annual fee until you actually make your first investment, which presumably will create some substantial profit for your account. At that point, the annual fee kicks in. If your account balance is less than $7,500, our annual fee is $165. If your account balance is $7,500 and over, it's capped at $285 for our IRA accounts. So, whether your account balance is $10,000 or $10 million, your annual fee is $285 a year, which, as I said, is pretty revolutionary in the self-directed space. Again, we're actually going to kind of sweeten the pot for the next, let's see, what's today's date? Today is the 20th. So through the end of the month, if you establish your account with us at American IRA, we're actually going to suspend the annual fee for a 12-month period. Even if you take action and you start making investments, we're going to suspend that annual fee for you for a 12-month period. So we're waiving the setup fee. We're suspending the annual fee for 12 months in appreciation of Nasar bringing in certainly his community to learn about these self-directed concepts. And again, Nasar El-arabi, nasar@realestateduru.com. His website is realestateduru.com. And Nas, if you're ready for it, we'll see if we got any questions here.
All right. Any questions from anybody? I believe Sean wants you to type them in the questions box. Anybody has any questions?
Perfect. All right. So we got a number already. So the first question is, I attended one of the local RIAs. I was told I was not supposed to wholesale inside IRA account. I presume that is not true since you are hosting this webinar. Also, is there a maximum limit of transactions? So great questions there. So certainly wholesaling is something that can in fact be done for these retirement accounts. And so anytime you're making any sort of investment, what I always want to make sure people are aware is that, again, we're the third-party administrator for your retirement account. We are a team member for you. If you feel as though you're doing a certain level of activity where you want to get guidance, most typically from your CPA, as to what's an appropriate volume of activities inside your account, certainly speak to your CPA about that. We do not have any sort of limitations as to how many wholesale deals you could or should do inside your retirement account. We have some that will do 1 or 2 a year. We have others that will do a massive volume of wholesale deals inside their retirement account. So certainly speak with your CPA about the volume of activity and make sure they're comfortable with it. But certainly wholesaling itself is not a prohibited transaction or something that cannot be done inside the retirement account. There was a question about the MS Word documents. Presumably that's the handouts. So if you see our the bar for the different elements, the dashboard, the questions, et cetera, you should see a handouts tab there. And so if you pull that up, that gives you the handouts for that. Sorry you weren't able to find that earlier. All right, let's see. So Nasser, question for you. 1.3 million, is that your net income in 2017 or gross rents received?
No, that's my gross income with all my businesses, all my real estate business. That's my gross.
Okay, great. Apologies, a comment or two about the audio being in and out. So, sorry about that. That is a challenge with the live webinars. Hopefully it did clear up a little bit for you at the end there. Let's see what else we have. Can we get a copy of the handout after the meeting? Yes, what we'll do is we will upload this to a platform. I believe the marketing team has a landing page that we'll be creating for this. So assuming post-webinar via discussion with Nasser, he's okay with us having that out there on the landing page, then we will have the audio, the visual, and we'll make the handouts available as well. And we'll probably do some sort of an email blast for the registrants for that. So thanks for that. Okay, Nasser, this one's for you. Seems like everyone I know is trying to wholesale. How is that affecting Nasser's business? Also, what is the primary marketing method that Nasser uses?
That's a great question. Everybody is trying to wholesale it. It's very competitive. What I'm doing now, I'm doing a lot of marketing on the outskirts of Charlotte. Normally, and I outmarket everybody. Last year I was spending between somewhere between 15 and 20 grand a month in just marketing. But me, I normally outmarket everybody. So with that being said, I just send out more. I just do more than everybody else to my competitors. Yes, it's getting hard. Right now I'm doing direct mail. I'm about to start out some internet marketing, but I'm doing direct mail as my primary way of how I get deals. And if you want to buy a list, you can go to flipdeskrealestatelyst.com, flipdeskrealestatelyst.com. And you can ask for the Nasser special, and he will get you a list at a deep discount. I believe it's $60 or $70, something like that. I believe it's $70. I know I said 60 earlier, but could have been wrong. But he'll correct me. So with that being said, how does it affect me? It's just a little bit more competitive. Got to do more work, but it's still opportunity out there for everybody.
Gotta love it. The man's got Nasser specials. I'll tell you what, I remember when he was just a regular human being, folks. This is good to see. People moving up in the world. I love it. Nasser specials, all sorts of relationships. He's quite the man. All joking aside, I love Nasser, and it's been a beautiful thing to watch his business just absolutely explode. And he's still a good guy, which isn't always the case when people are making a lot of money. So I love that. So the next question is, can we do wholesaling inside the IRA? Yes, absolutely. Any investment strategy, wholesaling, fix and flips, rentals, options on properties, joint ventures, all that good stuff can be done inside the IRAs or 401ks. Is QRP another type of account, qualified retirement plan? So yes, that's typically something set up by employers that can be rolled over typically when you're no longer employed by that company to any financial firm of your choosing. Of course, American IRA being an option for that. Okay, the next question is, do I have to be separated from service in order to use my 401k, or can I still work and use my 401k to fund a deal? That's a great question. So with 401ks, certainly many times you have to be removed from service so you can no longer be employed at the company with that 401k in order for you to self-direct that account, have it with a firm like ours so that you can do these sorts of investments. I do always encourage people, though, to speak to someone in their human resources department to see if they do, in fact, allow for rollovers while they're still employed at the company. Sometimes they're called in-service distributions, where you can essentially, again, stay employed at the company but still move your retirement account out. So great question, but if you can ask someone in human resources to see how your plan is structured, they should typically be able to give you a quick yay or nay as far as the feasibility of that. Can we get a copy of the presentation? Yes, we'll have a landing page, and probably we will do a email blast for all the registrants as well. So thanks for asking for that. Nas, this is for you. Which meetup groups does Nasser recommend for someone wanting to wholesale?
I mean, I'm gonna assume that person's in Charlotte, so it's so many now, man. When me and Sean was around, it was Daria and maybe some subgroups. Now there's in every major city, there's over 50 meetings. Probably closer to 100. 2010 podcasts were not a big thing. It was about 5 real estate podcasts, and 2 of them was active, and one of them being Sean Terry's Flip to Freedom podcast. And now fast forward is maybe thousands of real estate podcasts. So the meetups I recommend you going to is just pick, go there and see which one that they're giving out knowledge, and the ones that you like the crowd and you like the teachers and you can understand. Don't go to one that you can't understand the teacher and you guys don't vibe. So, but if you're in Charlotte, I strongly recommend you attending Jay Parker's meetup. And that's the one that I pretty much go to. The Iras. I don't really attend a lot of meetings, just being honest now. At this point, I don't really attend a lot of meetings. After my business day, I'm mentally drained. But I would recommend you going around, different meetups to see which ones you like best. But if I had to recommend one, if you're in Charlotte, it's Jay Parker's meetup, which is on meetup.com.
Okay, perfect. Great. Let's see what we have here. What is the minimum amount I can start a new IRA account with? So certainly you can establish the account without actually putting any money into it. In terms of having it funded appropriately so you can make your first investment, basically the only requirement we have at American IRA is that there's at least $750 in cash in the account at all times. So it's very possible, especially if you're going to pay our fees based on the credit card that's on file, that you may just have the $750 cash and maybe, let's say, $1,000 extra on top of that in the account, so that maybe you have $1,000 as kind of that earnest money, that skin in the game, so that you can do a wholesale deal and bind that contract. Nasser, what's the typical amount of money, let's say for a property under $100,000, that you usually have to put in to kind of bind that contract with the seller?
I put 500 on my contract.
500.
That I really don't give to them, but yeah.
So they're usually good with that minimal amount.
Yeah, I mean, I in the past I've done low. I used to do $1. I used to do $1. But since I got an actual business now, I do 500. But I used to do $1.
Okay. That's interesting. So, and also from the retirement account perspective, there needs to be skin in the game. The IRS does not want to see essentially an infinite rate of return. They don't want to see that you turn nothing into a $20,000 wholesale profit. That's a problem. So, Nasser uses, or he has used $1. He's used 500. Certainly from the retirement account perspective, some professionals may want you to have more in the realm of the 500 or 1,000 as opposed to $1. But yeah, good to know. Okay, great. So Nas, this is for you. Would you recommend buying in a specific area when wholesaling, or do you pick up wholesale deals wherever you can find them?
Repeat that question.
Do you recommend a certain area for buying wholesale deals? And I don't believe this individual is local to us in the Charlotte market. So if you're looking at a metropolitan area, are you focusing in on certain price point areas, certain, concepts, or are you just kind of blanketing the city and wherever you can find a deal, you do a deal?
All right, if I'm first starting out, what I would recommend you doing is going from the low income to first time home buyer price point. And stop at that first time home buyer price point, whatever that is in your city. So lower the first time home buyer price point max, whatever that is in your city.
Okay, good, perfect. Okay, there's a question about a 529 plan, which is an educational plan. We do have a self-directed educational plan where essentially you can contribute money to minors account that can be typically used to help them pay for qualified educational expenses. So our version of that is a Coverdale account. Again, that's an educational account. You can put up to $2,000 a year in contribution money into that account each year. There is not a limit to how quickly you can grow that account. So you may put $2,000 in as contribution, but you may do 2 wholesale deals where you're averaging $10,000 per wholesale deal, so that account balance can grow to essentially $22,000 at the end of that year. So no limit on how quickly you can grow it. Good feedback for you, Nas. Thanks for presenting the info. Nasser, how do you find your hard money lenders?
Man, that came from years and years of just hitting the pavement, going to meetings, shaking hands, kissing babies, and just doing the business. It took me years to get my lenders. So it took me years. I started out by partnering with local people, by building a name for myself, wholesaling, and saying, "Hey, Sean, if I bring you this deal, if I bring you a deal, will you be open to partner?" Yeah, I'll be open. And then, Sean might introduce me to his lender on that deal because we're partnered on it. So it took me years and years and just using creative strategies to get in front of those lenders so I can build credibility for myself. But so just to answer your question, basically networking and doing the business. All right. My lenders are probably approached by a lot of people who have ideas or want to get started, which is, they're using their own personal money. Nobody wants to invest their money to lose it. Okay. So they want you to have experience. They want you to at least know what you're doing, because just how many hard money lenders there are that make money, there's a lot more who got a bad taste in their mouth because it didn't work out with the person they went with. So what I recommend you doing, just do the business, and build relationships as you go.
Perfect. Good info. So we have some follow-up questions, Nasser, a few of them in terms of your marketing, whether you're just marketing in North Carolina. If you don't mind, if you could just give us a bit more on kind of 2018's version of how you're doing the marketing, where you're doing it. Are you national, regional, all that kind of good stuff?
No, I am just Charlotte metro area. Okay, I just market in Charlotte metro area. I feel as though that I have not hit my ceiling here yet. Yeah, I made good money, but I have not capped out Charlotte. There's a lot more money here. Believe it or not, there are bigger players than me here. There are guys making a lot more money than me here. So I focus on the Charlotte metro area. That's what I do. I just focus on Charlotte. I personally don't recommend doing all the virtual stuff if you have not maxed out your market. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, and that's good info because certainly, that's kind of becoming a hotter concept. Is it because you feel like you understand Charlotte and you just have a clarity and you can kind of arbitrage neighborhoods and do really well here versus areas you're not as familiar with?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Um, what is the average cost of a lead today? Also, what is the average cost of a deal today, Nasser?
Those are really good questions.
Yeah.
I do not have those numbers in front of me, and I don't have those numbers in front of me. So I do apologize.
Well, and think about it this way, though. If nothing else, you could kind of get a very general macro sense. Nasser talked about his gross numbers. Certainly the bulk, correct me if I'm wrong, Nasser, of that gross profit came from your wholesaling business. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, so if you have that gross number, so even if you call that a million, and Nasser spoke about 10 to 15 grand a month roughly in marketing costs.
Last year it was between 15 and 20.
15 to 20, and presumably there's overhead as well for VAs and stuff like that. So you kind of start to get a feel for at least how much money is being spent to yield that sort of gross profit. Obviously, we're probably not getting into Nasser's net profit numbers, but he spends he spends a significant amount of money to make a significant amount of money. So we have follow-up questions on the Coverdale. Can more than one person contribute $2,000 each to a Coverdale? So the way that the Coverdales work is you can have multiple contributors, but for each individual, essentially each minor that is going to be the recipient of that, the max per minor is $2,000. So an example would be, I have two children, and so if grandparents were going to put money into Coverdales, all the grandparents, and we have a number of them, could combined put $2,000 into my sons and $2,000 into my daughter's respective Coverdales. So hopefully that answers that. Can a single Coverdale benefit more than one child? I have 3 grandchildren, so yes. Typically what happens is you're going to stop making contributions to that, we'll say that initial grandchild's Coverdale at 18 years old. Typically around the time that individual is then going on to some sort of university or further education. If they end up not using all the money available to that, that can then be essentially gifted to their next sibling. If it gets down to the last sibling and the monies have not been used, then at 30 years old, they need to be distributed those monies to the beneficiary of that account. So don't want to get too deep into the weeds there, but great question. Hopefully that at least gives you a little bit to work with there. Still coming in here. Are the fees for the Coverdale the same as for the IRAs? So yes, the fees are based upon the value of the account. So Coverdales that are active, again, these are free cash accounts, but once you start working these accounts with wholesale deals, whatever it may be, account balances less than $7,500 is $165 a year. $7,500 and over is $285 a year when they're active accounts. Are you also extending the 12-month suspension of fees to Coverdale? So yes, we're suspending. So we are waiving the $50 setup fee. We are suspending the annual fee. And the final components is just transactional. Anytime you purchase an asset or sell an asset, we consider that a transaction. So you can do a single transaction for $95, or you can do unlimited transactions for $165 a year. Wires to get the monies to closing is $30. Typically, this isn't pertinent to wholesale deals, but if there's an outgoing check, it is a $10 outgoing check fee. If a person does not have a pension or any type of retirement to borrow the money from, and no hard money lender who believes in you enough to lend you any money, what are other options available to you to get into the game without a mortgage or a bank loan? So, Nas, if you want to take the wholesaling perspective on that.
All right, yeah, I mean, you can do wholesaling, which is flipping houses with no money and no credit. If you're adamant about just rehabbing, you will have to go to one of those national companies. And when I say national, I mean regional, etc. If you're here, CarolinaHorrorMoney.com, That can be a source.
Do they have a
Lima
Nasser
One,
special as well, or?
nah, they don't have a NASA special. They don't have a NASA special.
Okay, go ahead.
Uh,
Sorry.
Lima1Capital.com. Lima One Capital. Lima is L as in Larry, I as in Igloo, M as in Mary, A as in Apple. The website is ONE capital.com. Those are sources like that. You can Google hard money lenders. And you can go use those national companies, but those national companies will require documents. They might not base it based off the asset. They might require documents as well. When I say documents, meaning bank statements, meaning your tax returns, etc. So there, depending on your situation, if you're like me, I started out broke. So I started out wholesaling. You know, no money, no credit. I knew that was me. So I just wholesale, built my money up, made a name for myself, got some connections. So that's that would be my advice. If you can't use national companies, the local guys don't believe in you, then I would say just get out there and wholesale. Get in any way you can.
Love it. Perfect. And last question, Nasser. In terms of leads, perhaps this is not available as well, but typically how many leads is it taking to close a deal? Even just any general numbers for that, if you could share that with us.
I don't have my numbers in front of me, so I do apologize.
Do you have a feel for, obviously you have a call center, but if you were going to look through, say, a typical month, how many calls do you think you're getting from the massive amount of marketing that you're doing into that call center?
Probably doing no, I mean I don't use a call center. I just hire my own virtual assistant to fill everything.
Okay.
Normally we probably get almost probably about 150 between 150 and 200 calls a month.
Okay. And in terms of actual deals, just gross volume of deals, how many generally are you closing a month in 2018?
2018 has been a little bit tougher. Last year we were doing 4 to 6. This year we're doing 3 to 5 wholesale deals a month.
Okay. Okay. So 3 to 5, and they could be juicy, they could be, leaner, but the volume of deals is about 3 to 5 off of a few hundred calls. So, you got a lot of tire kickers, right?
A majority are going to be titles.
Perfect. So again, Nasser, great information. I appreciate you kind of, pulling back the curtain a little bit so that we could see what's going on in this market with wholesaling, and I think that's a lot of value for us. So again, for those looking to move forward with your retirement accounts, please feel free to email me, or as I said, contact that Asheville office at the number below, and we're happy to get you that application paperwork so that you can move forward with establishing these accounts. Again, now through the end of the month, we're waiving the setup fee. We're suspending the annual fee even if you have activity, but typically it is a free cash account until you have activity in these IRAs and these Coverdales, etc. So really appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. Nasser, thank you so much. Good information. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. So again, Nasser, the real estate DORU, his contact information is there. He's not shaking hands and kissing babies as much as he used to, but you can still find him at some local meetings. Great guy, great resource, and feel free to contact us at American IRA and let us know about additional topics you'd like for us to cover. And we'll be happy to try and get that scheduled so we can add some value moving forward. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a great day.